Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily and today I have an August book haul. So August isn't quite over yet, but I have managed to buy quite a few books, and so I'm kind of hoping that my book buying is at an end for the month. We'll see if that is true. So I've got 12 books to talk about today, and I am really excited about all of these, so before I start rambling too much, let's just dive in. The first is a book that I have already read and I've already mentioned on my channel several times, but that is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. And Spencer over at Common Spence is hosting a 3-month-long read-along of the Shades of Magic series. And I own the other 2 books in the series, but I didn't have this one, and I definitely want to reread it before the live show and be able to discuss it with other folks. So I purchased this, and I'm like maybe halfway through at this point. It's so great. Of course, if you want to see what the series is about, you can check out my top 5 favorite series video. I'll link it up here. But this is a great series and I highly recommend if you haven't read it already. The next one is super exciting. I won a giveaway on Becky Albertalli's Instagram. She is doing this thing called Senator Sundaes, and I'm not going to explain it in depth here because we've got a lot of books to go through, but definitely check out her Instagram and see what this is all about. But essentially, if you win the giveaway, you receive a personalized signed copy of any of her books, excluding the one she's about to release with Adam Silvera. I already have signed copies of Simon and Leah from a book signing that she came to earlier, so I got a signed copy of The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. So I now weirdly have a full personalized signed set of Becky Albertalli books, and that is really freaking cool, man. This is her second book. It is sort of a companion follow-up to Simon, and it follows other characters that are like briefly mentioned, I think. I don't know that much about it. I definitely want to get to it soon. I still have to read Leah as well, but I think I might try to read this one first. But oh my gosh, I feel #blessed. Okay, and then my parents were in town this weekend, which was amazing, and that meant that naturally, I took them to a bunch of my favorite bookstores, just like I did with my sister, and you saw that video earlier this week. But we went to 3 different bookstores, the first being Half Price Books, of course, because they don't have that on the East Coast, and it is magic. I didn't get anything there, but then we went to a store called Once Upon a Crime, which is strictly mystery thriller books, maybe some horror perhaps, but I think mostly just mystery and thriller, and it is awesome. They have a whole annex section that like is just shelves of Agatha Christie and other classic authors and Sherlock Holmes and other, Arthur Conan Doyle things. It's so cool. It is definite must see if you ever come to Minneapolis. But I got 3 books there. One that I purchased and then 2 that my mom got for me. One is not actually a mystery, but it's by an author who has a whole series of mystery books called the Cork O'Ryan series. Cork O'Connor series. He's a Minnesota author, and he's actually coming to Once Upon a Crime tomorrow to do a book signing. But my mom read this book and absolutely loved it, and she said if we saw it at any of the bookstores, she was absolutely going to buy it for me, and that is Ordinary Grace by William Kent Kruger. This is sort of a historical fiction, I believe, that takes place in Minnesota. It's kind of a coming-of-age story, it seems like, and yeah, it's an unforgettable novel about discovering that the terrible price of wisdom and the enduring grace of God. My mom absolutely adored it. She is obsessed. She bought the first in the Cork O'Connor series because she really liked this author's writing style. So I'm really excited to get to it soon. I don't know if I'll go to the signing because I feel a little weird if I haven't read the book before. But yeah, I'm really excited to read this one. And the next one is one that I bought for myself, and that is Girl Waits with a Gun by Amy Stewart. And I picked this up because I absolutely adore the cover. It's like a nice, like sort of textured feeling to it. And it said it's a cop sisters novel. And I don't really know that series at all, but pretty much anything related to sisters I'm gonna pick up because I love stories about sisters and sisterhood. When Constance Kopp and her sisters have a run-in with this notorious criminal, she decides to leave her quiet country life and pursue the criminal with the local sheriff and exact justice, and it just sounds really fun. It's first in at least a 3-book series, maybe more. I don't know if they're still being released, but yeah, I am just obsessed with this cover, this idea. Like I said, sisters. That's like an auto buy for me. And then my mom and I stumbled across this hilarious series of books by an author who does like cozy mystery series, and it's called Death by Darjeeling by Laura Childs. It's the first in the tea shop mystery series, and she has a tea shop one that's about food of some sort. There's one about scrapbooking, so like very cozy mysteries. But it also says first in the new series, recipe included, which I just think is cute. That was kind of what caught our eye about it, and I know very little about it except that the main character in this series is Theodosia Browning. I love that name. So yeah, I am excited to see how this is and what this sort of cozy mystery is all about. I've never really read a book like this or a series like this, so yeah, it was just too fun and quirky to not pick up. And then we went to my favorite bookstore that's like, 4 blocks down from my apartment, called Makers and Quinn, and they were having a clearance sale. So there were a ton of clearance books, and they were all buy one get one free. So I bought several. Obviously I had to get to an even number, and I kept adding on another book, and then I had to even it out. So yeah. So the first book that I have is Sister Stories by Brenda Peterson. Again, something about sisters. It's a collection of short stories about sisterhood and the bonds between women and the relationships formed between different women. And I don't know, it sounds really good. It says she uses insights from psychology, mythology, history, and anthropology to sort of weave together a series of stories. So it sounds really good. It sounds like it might be sort of historical fiction-y, maybe contemporary, but I'm really excited. I do really like short story collections. I don't read enough of them. And again, sisters are an auto-buy subject for me. Next up, I have The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro, and I know a little bit about this. I read Ishiguro's book Never Let Me Go a couple of years ago and really, really liked it. And I know this is probably a more famous book from him. This sounds like a historical fiction versus the sort of sci-fi that Never Let Me Go is. It follows a butler who has just retired, and he's sort of reconsidering the view of this gentleman that he worked for. He's not so sure that he was as great as he maybe thinks he was. So it sounds like kind of an examination of morality and character and that sort of thing. So I'm really excited to read another book by this author, and I'm excited for another historical fiction to be on my list. Next, I have The Tiger's Wife by Taya Obrecht. This story takes place pretty soon after a war in a Balkan country, and the main character, Natalia, is mourning the loss of her grandfather and seeking comfort in old stories that he used to tell her. And she goes back through the Jungle Book, but then discovers an untold story called The Tiger's Wife. So I feel like I've heard a lot about this. I was under the impression that it's fantasy, but I might be completely mistaken because that synopsis doesn't sound fantasy at all. But either way, I have definitely heard of this. I've seen it on and around BookTube before, so I feel like that's in itself a good recommendation. Next, I have The End of Man by Karen Rinaldi. This follows the story of 4 women who are kind of proving that, you don't need a man, you can survive on your own sort of thing. I don't know, it sounds really funny, and it just sounds like a fun, whimsical story of friendship and kind of, your own identity and not being reliant on anyone else. Punchy, hilarious, and insightful, The End of Men shatters the confines of society and, more importantly, those we impose upon ourselves. Oh, it's blurbed by Anthony Bourdain. That's interesting. Sounds really good. I am definitely into this idea. It's not like going to be high up on my TBR probably, but it's also a beautiful cover, just all the right things. This one is maybe the one I'm most excited about. I have The Red Tent by Anita Diamant, and if you remember, I have mentioned her other book, or one of her other books, The Boston Girl, on my channel several times. It's one of my favorites. It's a historical fiction book that I absolutely adore, and I have heard this one is even better. This is probably her more famous story, and it talks about the daughter of Jacob from the Bible, from the book of Genesis, and her mothers, the 4 wives of Jacob, and kind of goes behind the scenes of what's taking place in the Bible and examining the lives of women and kind of taking inspiration from that and giving these women voices. And as a woman of faith myself, I often feel like women are not given what they deserve as far as stories of religion and depiction of women in faith goes. So I'm really excited about this. I think it will be so good. I'm really excited for some lady representation as far as books about faith and religion go. So yeah, so excited. Cannot wait. This is probably going to be one of the first that I read on this list, if not the first. Next I have The Mothers by Britt Bennett, and this is just one that I have seen around since it came out. This is a debut novel that has gotten a lot of hype, kind of about family secrets and the life of a secret as it's passed down from generation to generation. It's about, I think, primarily a young girl who is mourning the suicide of her mother. So again, suicide trigger warning in here. And yeah, about growing up as a young black woman, and it sounds super good. I don't know that much about it, but I've been wanting to read it for a while, and so when I saw it on the shelf, I was like, yep, definitely getting it. Don't even need any more info. So that's all that I got this weekend with my parents, but I did today pop over to Half Price Books because I was just having a day and I needed some retail therapy in the form of book browsing. I didn't intend to buy anything, but then I found this monstrosity. This is Agatha Christie Masterpieces in Miniature, the detective version. And so this is 39 stories from her 4 famous detective series. So Parker Pyne, Harley Quinn, Hercule Poirot, and Miss Marple. Adam really loves Agatha Christie. He went through a big Agatha Christie phase when he was younger. I have read a couple of her books so far and really like them. And I really want to read a Miss Marple. I haven't yet. And I was kind of looking to see if they had any good ones. And then when I saw this, I was like, dang it, that's so cool, and it will be like so fun to work through. I love this idea. I'm so excited to read all of these stories, and hopefully there are some in here that Adam hasn't read. I'm guessing there are, and it'd be fun to kind of read them together and talk about them because he is a big Agatha Christie fan, and I'm just a new one, just a baby Agatha Christie fan. So that is that. Alright everyone, that is all that I have for you today. That's a pretty beefy haul for the month of August. I'm so excited about these books. If you have read any of them, please let me know. I'm also stoked that the majority of them are historical fiction. I really want to do a video on my channel recommending some great historical fiction options because I feel like that's not represented a lot on BookTube, and it's one of my favorite genres. I have a lot of really good ones to work off of and a lot of really good mysteries. So I feel like this is just a haul that is outside of my comfort zone, and I'm so excited about it. So can't wait for all of these books to be in my hands and read. That's all I got for you. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to comment down below and subscribe to my channel so you know when my next video goes up. But until then, happy reading. Bye.